And here we have a picker's basket full of freshly picked coffee cherries. And you can see they range in ripeness from a few that are still green like that to some like this, that's in the prime of ripeness right there, to a few like this that are a little bit overripe. It's really not a big deal when they go through the mill, because all of these will have good coffee beans inside for roasting. If they're too green, it might affect the flavor a little bit. And then you have a few in here actually that are overripe to the point that they've shriveled up on the vine, on the tree I should say, like this one here. We call these raisins. This is a coffee raisin, and it's hard as a rock, and unfortunately it's probably not going to go through the mill like that, but it actually has, most of the time they'll actually have a pretty decent coffee bean inside. There's another raisin right here. This, I'm thinking, is about 20 pounds or so of ripe coffee cherry in this basket here. What you see here are some coffee beans that were milled just yesterday, and now they're soaking in water. We do this to get there's a sticky, slimy outer mucilage that covers the bean after they've been milled, and by soaking them for a day or two, that sticky mucilage will come off. This is not a required step, but it does help the coffee dry quicker out in the sun. I can tell by putting my hand in here whether the beans are ready or not, by how they feel, whether they're still slimy or not. And also, some beans will be floating when they go into the water, and those are very often bad beans, underripe or insect damaged. There's some of them over here. Not all of these are bad beans, but these were floating. These are mostly floaters, and as you can see, they have some problems. Some of these dark ones you see are insect damage, and sometimes you'll actually see chew marks on them, and some of them are just underripe. Some of them didn't husk properly or mill properly. So these will typically float on top of the water, and then they can be scooped off the top. Over here, I actually have some coffee drying in the sun. Unfortunately, the clouds have just moved in. I've had this drying for a couple of days, so it's almost completely dry now. You can see some of the dark ones here that I've been picking out are actually, again, coffee raisins. Unfortunately, the raisins don't go through the mill very well, but you can see this one here actually has a pretty decent looking bean inside. When the skin gets too hard on the berry, the milling process can't take the skin off, so you wind up often having to throw these out, even though often they have pretty good beans inside. I'll try opening a few of these and we'll see what they look like. Okay, what I have here are some dried up raisins, and next to them some nice looking green coffee beans. And those green beans were they all come from raisins. I sat down and I peeled them. It took about 10 minutes. But as you can see, they actually have pretty decent beans inside most of the time. They're often thrown away though, because it's just not economical to husk these by hand.